Roberson, the Choice Neighborhood Initiative Coordinator with Near West Side Partners. Just to kind of give you guys some insights on where we'll be going today. First thing we'll have everybody do is to mute your mics if you are not presenting. If you have questions, there is a box down at the bottom of your screen that says chat. If you hit that, you throw your questions in there. At the end of the presentation, we will come back to answer them. Okay? So just so everybody has some insight, it'll be me hosting today. So last week you had Barb, it's me today with Angela Mitchell-Reed from NIDC. So we'll get started. Thank you everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it. Oh, hi. So again, Friday webinar series. Our conversation today is action activities for Choice Neighborhood Initiative in our community improvement project funds with the city of Milwaukee. As you can see, there's our website if you'd like to go there. Okay, so for those, most of you may know, some of you may not, we're just gonna do a brief history of what Choice Neighborhood Initiative is. So Choice Neighborhood Initiative launched in 2018. It is a $1.3 million grant over 3 years. The grant focuses on developing a transformation plan for the entire Near West Side, including putting a special focus on a public housing facility. For us, that is College Court, which is located on 33rd and Highland. It is a 251 unit apartment building, all 1 bedrooms reserved for seniors and those with disabilities. So a big part of our transformation plan and the goal of our grant is to develop a redevelopment plan for College Court. So in the picture, you can kind of see in the background, that tall high-rise building, that is one of 2 beer cans of College Court. So our grant has 3 different areas of focus: people, housing, and neighborhood. Neighborhood looks at our commercial corridors and how we can improve the economy and safety conditions for everybody in the neighborhood. People looks at the individual assets we have from our nonprofits and our businesses in the neighborhood that can help us improve the quality of life for all residents in the neighborhood. Housing looks at the quality of our housing stock, again, putting that special focus in on our residents over at College Court. So many of you may know, a few weeks ago, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a couple of webinars surrounding action activity submissions. So thank you to everybody who submitted an idea for action activities. We got almost 50 proposals. So we really appreciate the time that you took to get those to us. So some of those projects look at food access, fresh food access, art projects, safety improvements, bus stop improvements, green space improvements and creation, signage improvements, and cleanup efforts. The pictures that you see to the right aren't of our neighborhood, but they were the examples that we tried to give when everybody was submitting their ideas. So following us getting the proposals in, a big focus for us now is reviewing the proposals and making sure that everyone gets a chance to weigh in if they want to. So right now, up until Sunday, we are asking all of our residents in the neighborhood, which is why you get the action activity proposals today, or review today, is to ask you to go in and review those things. One of the things I do want to mention as we are going, as you are going through, is to remember this isn't a grading system. This isn't like a yes or no type of thing. what we want to know, because the way that it works with HUD is a little different. So we know that this has to go through processes, and I'll actually hold off on that because we'll go to that in the next slide. But one of the things I did want to kind of walk everybody through today is the actual form online. So as you can see, there is a link here on our presentation to the website, and just go into their website, tab, you'll go to action activities, and then you'll get this wonderful screen. You'll go down and there is a button that says submit feedback. You'll click that link. You'll start in. And here's the thing we want you guys to to know as you're going through is it goes in processes. So the first set of questions are just like, what category of project are you most interested in? You can read the list. You'll click one. Which are you least interested in? And this isn't me knowing what I'm picking. This is me just trying to walk us through. Once you get to the next page, you'll see it starts to break it down into what do you think will be the largest, that'll bring the largest positive change in the neighborhood. And for each of the projects that are submitted, you'll see the name of the project in a short sentence about what the project entails. This is done purposely. One of the things we want to make sure that we do is that we're keeping the projects anonymous, so that people don't know who submitted what project, just to make sure that everything is even and fair for everyone. So this doesn't go into full detail about the project. So what our hopes is that we'll gain enough feedback to say, okay, here is the order in which we are going to submit these projects to HUD. Once we have a better understanding of which projects to push forward first, we'll come back and then we'll have a NEON meeting to then go over those projects in more detail. Okay. But as you go along, again, it's just looking at like, what do you think will be bring the biggest change? Just gonna click one so we can make sure we're getting through. And then it goes into breaking it down by those different categories that I read before. So looking at the bus stop projects, the cleanup projects, the green space projects. We have a lot of green space projects, really exciting. Safety projects, and then signage projects. So you'll just click and you'll click next, which I guess I should have clicked because it won't let me go to next. One of the nice parts about it is that, again, it's all anonymous, so we won't actually be asking you for your information, so nobody will know who ranked what in what order, which is also very nice. So then this part acts as about, again, like positive impact in the neighborhood. Again, providing you with those short details about the projects. This, you can just click as many as you like. And then if you have any more feedback, you'll just provide it here. I'm just gonna put test here so we know that was my test. And you'll just submit it. So we're not asking for any of your personal information as you are going through. And then everybody was able to see that, right? Okay. Yes. I just have to make sure, you know, using the different platforms to do to screen share can sometimes be very difficult. Sometimes you'll switch a screen and it doesn't switch, it'll keep it on the same one. So I just had to make sure. So thanks everybody. So some important things that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention about our action activity feedback. Again, it's not a grading scale. It's just providing us feedback on which one you think will best suit the community. So first thing, biggest thing, put in red, is that our submission for feedback closes on this Sunday, May 10th. So please get it in, share it with your neighbors, ask them, keeping a safe distance because we are safer at home, but keeping a safe distance and sharing. One of the other things we will ask is that you only submit one feedback, I put two fingers, one feedback form per person, please. Again, reviews are completely anonymous. selecting the action activities again is a process. So again, this will just be our first process. Our next process is we'll do some internal reviews, try to make really roll out what the program will look like, and then we'll be presenting again at the NEOM meeting. Another thing we want people to be aware of is that all of the projects have to go for congressional approval. Currently, our grant cycle is one of the first cycles that has this as a requirement from HUD. So we aren't quite sure what that looks like as of yet. But just know, like at the end of the day, like they'll make the final decision on whether or not our projects move forward with Choice Neighborhood Initiative funding. Okay. And then the last thing is just so everybody is aware, our final version of our action activities and our transformation plan is due to HUD in September of this year. So with that being said, if you have any questions, please place them in the chat. We're going to let Angela go first, and then we'll come back and we'll answer your questions. But if you have any questions, please, again, place them in the chat for us. All right, so up next is Angela Mitchell-Reed, the outreach liaison for the City of Milwaukee's NIDC. She does a lot of work with target investment neighborhoods, and then community improvement project dollars from the city. Angela, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Sorry, it might be a little dark in my lower office, basement office. So I'm trying to keep the light on, but my lamp is not working properly. So thanks for joining us. I'm happy to be here. And if you have questions, just, catch my attention. I usually talk pretty fast, but catch my attention. I'll be happy to address any questions you have. So there you go. So as some of you may know, because you had some experience with our CIP or community improvement project, basically we have two main criteria for the CIP program. And essentially it's to engage neighborhood residents, community members, and to provide physical improvements to Milwaukee neighborhoods. And for the engagement, that means you're out talking to the neighbors. You're getting their opinions about what it is they'd like to see in their neighborhood or in the area that kind of improves where they work, live, and play. The whole purpose of the program that the mayor created was to get residents out talking to each other. He wasn't saying you've got to become best friends with your neighbors, but he was saying get out there and find out their name, know a little bit about who you live next to. So that's the whole purpose of this CIP program. The program is a reimbursable grant program, which means essentially if you come up with a project, let's say, for example, the project is $8,000, you have to show that you have $8,000 to actually do the project. Once the project has been completed, we'll reimburse you up to $4,000 for the project, which is the project maximum. The minimum amount you can apply for a CIP grant is $400, which means you bring $200 to the table and we'll reimburse you $200. Or pardon me, you bring $400 to the table, we'll reimburse you $200. Some of the things that will reduce the amount of cash you have to bring to your project really is matching funds. So matching funds can be anything such as in-kind donations, in-kind labor from professionals. So if you'd like to install a community garden, then what am I trying to say? The word I'm trying to use. A landscaper, that's what I'm trying to use. So if you have a friend who's a landscaper who's consulting or working on the project, if they're consulting, you can pay them a small percentage. But if they're actually doing the work, you pay them what they charge. And then we'll reimburse part of that total. You can also receive funds from residents, community organizations, and funders. So you can get grants, like the grant you mentioned earlier, Brittany, from HUD. Also, any grants from Greater Milwaukee Foundation, Zilber Foundation. There's a lot of organizations that actually offer grant funding that can be used for community projects. So those are all sources of in-kind or matching funds. Some project ideas, some are actually listed on your list today, but they would include community gardens, community rain gardens as well, murals, art installations, community art projects, address plaques where sometimes you'll see them either on the homes or you'll see them in the grass where they have the address numbers. Neighborhood flags, we do a lot of those on the south side. Also playground enhancements, we did that at Indorus Park. We kind of came in and helped with the MKE Plays program. We put in new playground equipment. We made the ground softer, kind of those refurbished, recycled tire rubber to make the ground softer and safer for children to play. And just out the way the park is now outlined, it's more user-friendly and it engages the family a lot more. Also, green infrastructure or landscaping are also some major components. We love to take a vacant lot and actually create a green space, or what we like to refer to as pocket parks in the city, just to make them more attractive and really to activate the space, to get residents to come and utilize the space that's in their neighborhoods. So some of the important steps about the CIP program, usually it's a 1-hour orientation, but it's condensed here, and soon you'll have a version online because we haven't had any in-person sessions since March. But the first step is to attend a session, sort of like today's mini session. Also, you would need, once you complete the session, the orientation, you'll need to complete an application. It's a 4-page application. And essentially the application tells me what you want to do, how you want to do it, how much it costs, and what's the timeline. That's essentially what the application is in 4 pages. We don't ask for a book, but we want it to be short and concise because we do have 4 managers reviewing the applications. Once the application is received, along with supporting documentation, is presented every Wednesday to the review committee, and we just really discuss the merits of the project. When I bring the project to the committee, I'm already recommending that the project be done. However, sometimes other managers will catch things that we need to ask further questions on. But generally, about 90% of the projects are approved on that Wednesday morning. I may come back and say, if it's a lighting project, we may suggest a certain type of LED. If it's a pocket park, we may suggest adding flowers in a certain spot or lighting or benches or something like that. But for the most part, I'm taking the project as you submitted and I'm recommending that it be funded. Once the project is approved, I'll send you out an MOU or a memo of understanding, which is essentially a contract between you and myself or the city saying we'll fund this project or reimburse a portion of this project once it's done. Once you receive the grant agreement, you have the go-ahead to go ahead and start spending money and buying what you need to get the project started. Anything that's purchased prior to your grant being approved is not reimbursable. So that means don't buy anything beforehand. Even if you're tempted to, don't do it. I know something may be on sale. Don't do it because there's no way I can get it approved. Everything has to be approved first. And we sometimes run into that problem. People are so excited and they want to get started, but they forget about the guidelines of the grant program. So once I send the grant agreement over to you, you sign it, send it back, go shopping, have at it. You can begin the implementation of the project. Once you're complete with the project, then you take before pictures, or you take before pictures before, of course. Then you can take during pictures and then after pictures. And we kind of just want to know, what was the result? How did you have great interaction and engagement with residents? And how did the project turn out? Did you run into any roadblocks, either with the grant approval process or anything that happened after you started the project? Once the project is complete, then you just have to submit a final report. And final report is really expressing everything that happened with the project. Again, it doesn't have to be a book, but a few paragraphs, because that information is shared with the entire Common Council. Those are the ones those members are the ones who approve my funding each January. So we want to make sure we give them a complete report, especially if the project falls in their districts. And also you submit at that time your receipts or any expenses that you had. I prefer original receipts unless you have been funded by another grant funder and they ask for original receipts. Then I will take copies of receipts. Once I have all of that, I'll go ahead and submit a reimbursement request, which generally takes about, give or take, 2 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer, through our accounting department. And then the reimbursement check is sent out to cover up to 50%, up to $4,000 of your project costs. It's usually a pretty quick process, but if you're submitting for reimbursements anytime from October through the end of the year, it's much longer because I'm not the only department submitting for reimbursements. We have a lot of nonprofit agencies that we help fund through city funding. And so they're submitting all of their final year-end reports and they're asking for their reimbursements as well. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Feel free to ask. Don't be shy.
So just a couple of things. Again, if you have, please put them in the chat and we will read them. Contact information for me is here. Also, I'm going to go back to this, but I want to make sure we touch this. So as we all know, we are doing webinars because we are safer at home currently. So if you know anyone who needs resources around COVID-19, please visit our website. We have a whole page dedicated to resources for residents and businesses. So please feel free to use it, take advantage of it, and let us know if you have any questions.
And Brittany, can I add something?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind. The city also has a lot of resources too on our website, citymilwaukee.gov website. Also, we're hoping that you're all staying at home, but just in case you're not and you happen to see a blue and white sign on the streets somewhere, those also include city resources that you can go ahead and take advantage of, or you can refer to other people. We're trying to keep as up to date as possible with information regarding food pantries, testing, all those types of things. So feel free to check the website for updated information every day.
All right, so again, if you have questions, go ahead and put it in the chat for us. We will go through. So we will give people a couple of minutes to place their questions in. Again, thank you everybody for participating, giving us your time on a Friday. We hope that you got some valuable information. Please don't forget to go in and review those projects.
Brittany, can anyone go in and review those projects and give their opinion, or is it just the committee?
Yeah, so we are trying, we're trying to limit it to the community members. Mainly it'll impact those who are in the neighborhood.
Okay.
All right. So we haven't had any questions come through. So I think that means that me and Angela did a very good job of explaining things today, and I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you all for attending. Angela, thank you for giving us your time. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot us an email. Please feel free to check out our website. But it's Friday, so have a great Friday, everybody. Stay healthy.
You too. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Barb. Thanks for joining us.